Welcome to Ham Nation, episode 570 for April 10th, 2024. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for coming on over to the Ham Radio Crash Course, home of Ham Nation. We're going to get right into it because we got a lot to talk about. So let's say hi to our hosts. Top of the pyramid there is Gordo. How you doing, Gordo?
I am fine, and we endured only half of the eclipse, but we tuned in to 5 megahertz WWV, and out of nowhere during our partial eclipse, it came booming in, and as soon as it was well out of Texas, it went away. So fun playing radio during the eclipse. I
was running 2 radios on FT8 throughout pretty much the whole day, and I'm going to submit all my logs to HamSci for their QSO party. I'm excited for some of the information we get on the back end of that. It seems like a lot of people were participating as from previous years, so that's awesome. So I'm excited. But Don, how are you doing?
I'm good. Touching on the eclipse, it was rainy and cloudy in Picayune, Mississippi, so I did not get to see. The only eclipse I saw was a busted-up Mitsubishi back in the back lot at the car dealership where I work. Seriously, there was a Mitsubishi Eclipse convertible back there that the top was all taped up over and everything, and it was all. That was the only one, a piece of the eclipse that I saw.
Did you
a little sliver of
it
came through. Yeah, the clouds and rain broke for like just a couple of seconds in New Orleans, and I saw a little sliver of it on the news. We had it would have been 86% coverage for us. But I'm holding out because in 21 years, in August of, what would that be, 2045, Picayune, Mississippi is in the path of totality. So if I can live another 21 years, I'm there. Of course, I've got to survive the tornadic activity like we had today. We had some horrible weather down here around the New Orleans area and South Mississippi. A lot of tornadoes, a lot of damage. Thankfully, nothing around us, affecting us personally, but our heart goes out to the folks in New Orleans and Slidell, Louisiana, and some of the other areas around that had some damage. But anyway, we got some great guests tonight. We're going to talk Ham Nation, or Hamvention rather. We don't have a report from Dr. T. She's been extremely busy, still compiling a lot of the aforementioned eclipse things, so we don't have her tonight. But just you know where to check her out: spaceweatherwoman.com and at Tamitha Scove on X, and of course her YouTube channel. And we will, of course, have the folks from Amateur Radio Newsline with a report. Josh?
Yeah, everybody should know how close we did to not having Gordo and Don on the show today, because Don was going to get swept away by a tornado, and Gordo was out without internet for a while. So I scrambled, and the first person I thought of, actually, it was also a recommendation from the HRCC admin crew. I'm like, we should get on Ham Nation. They're like, you should get Charlie, Red Summit RF. So Red Summit RF has joined us. He's our guest host in the Amanda spot, just to answer everybody's questions. Amanda's still busy. She's got a lot of things going on. She'll be back joining us again. No worries there. But Charlie, how are you doing, man?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. Ham Nation is awesome, and I'm glad to be here. When it comes to the eclipse, I stepped out of work around lunchtime, and I'm like, it's kind of cloudy, and then I looked up and there were no clouds, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's the eclipse.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of a surreal moment if you don't remember it's happening and everything's real dark. It's very weird. But yeah, we'll be talking with Charlie, Red Summit RF, here shortly, a little bit later in the show. But first, Don's got a special guest, Michael from Hamvention.
We do. W8 Charlie India. If you know anything about Hamvention and Dayton and Xenia, then that name and that call sign should be extremely familiar to you. I kind of view you, Michael, as the face and the voice of Hamvention. So tell us what's going on this year.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. And it's great to be on Ham Nation again. I was thinking a lot about Bob Heil today and how he'd always have me on before the Hamvention as well. And anyway, let me tell you what's going on. I got to thank 700 volunteers.
Yes.
700 volunteers.
Wow.
And that's all volunteers. The only people we pay, we have some firefighters come out and stand by. We have security, professional security people, and sheriff's deputies, and then we have to pay the fairgrounds, and we have there's a whole lot of other costs. But people-wise, our hams make it happen from all over the world. They come in and volunteer from everywhere. So we are. I know that last year was the year of the volunteer. We're always about the volunteers at Dayton. Anyway, and they do that because they all have a real love for amateur radio. To us and to all of you guys and to me, it's really not. It's not a hobby. It's a way of life. I think
it really is.
I really like to look at it that way. I know that all you guys work is very hard in different aspects of amateur radio. So I'm not really talking about. I got to get to it, don't I? So big news. I know a lot of people like that flea market that we have. I believe it's just about sold out. I'm not sure we got any spaces left, but the big news there is that we took, and when we first moved it there, we took a lot of grindings and put grindings down, then rolled it, and even I was out there on that tractor rolling that thing to get it done. Well, we decided, Hamvention, Dayton Amateur Radio Association, invested some money along with the fairgrounds, and we rented a Harley rake, and a Harley rake brings up all the grindings and everything so we could get it level, because personally we were all getting worried somebody's going to get hurt out there with a twisted ankle or overturned cart of some kind. And so we got that leveled out, and then we went a step further and we bought many truckloads of crushed river gravel, put all that down. Then we rented a regular street paved roller. You see those rollers that out on the streets. We ran one of those around all day long, and we're going to continue to do that. Well, not every day, but we're still doing that. And we rolled all the infields. We've rolled all the property there. And I was there today. It's so beautiful and lush and green. But we think that this is a major improvement, in that flea market. Anybody that likes that flea market. And I know Gordo knows all about it. Get there early and don't let things slide away.
You're right.
Yeah.
So,
if you see something, buy it, because someone else is right behind you looking at it.
So we got all kind of food trucks. That's the one thing that we, when we moved from Hera Arena, we decided, okay, wherever we go to, we're going to have a say in the food. So we approve all the food trucks. And, we even go so far as to make sure that I know $2 for a bottle of water is a lot, but at a lot of events, they'll charge even more. So anybody that tries to gouge it over $2, we kick them out right away. And so, that's a big deal. You can make a lot of money at Hamvention with all the hams that love to eat. And believe me, there's some great food there. And if you stand in the center of that place, you've been wandering all everywhere, and you stand in the center there between all the buildings. It's like a college campus. You can just smell some of the delicious food, and you'll actually have a struggle making a choice. So that's why you should go all 3 days, so you can eat everything there. But I gotta tell you, it's great. So if you don't have your reservations made yet, we had a Hamvention meeting last night, and the gals from the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Greene County said that there's been, as people cancel rooms or in hotels have openings, they know exactly who to call and where to go to. So you can get on there on the our website, and Josh has got it up there, and you can go straight to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. You can either send them something or just call them on the phone. They're really wonderful people, and they're working so hard to help Hamvention to try to help whatever we have there. Also, when we're talking about, can you pop up the forums page there, Josh? I remember having a discussion with Josh, was it a year or two ago? I can't remember how long ago. And I said, man, you ought to do a forum there. Josh said, Nobody will come. It will be bad. I don't know what I'm going to do. It could be too hard for me. Remember that conversation?
I do indeed. Yes, sir.
So talked him into it. And so when is your forum there? You see it. It's on Saturday morning, right?
Saturday morning, room 1, Ham Nation and Friends. Yeah, so kind of like what we did last year, similar format. We're going to get as many of the hosts that we can in person and online, and we're gonna. I promise I'll add something new and spicy to it, but we'll have some fun announcements. So you got to make sure you attend.
And you can click on that read more there. Let's see what it says. I was going to put your picture up there and do like an AI thing with it, but my friend said, I better not do that. But at any rate, I do want to mention too that I listen to the radio. I'm an amateur radio operator, and so when I'm working around, a lot of times I'll have the local repeaters on the 440s and the 2 meters, to be like my buddy Josh. He knows everybody and is always on. And but at any rate, I heard a guy the other day talking about, wow, I hope I get to meet that Josh.
Oh, no.
He does such a good. No, yeah. You guys are all famous. I mean, Don, you're right in there, and Gordon, the great Gordo, yeah. And by the way, Gordon is still is. Once you're an amateur of the year, it's a big deal. And he made amateur of the year one year. One of the first years that I was on head of that awards committee, and I didn't know Gordon very, very well then. I knew him kind of, but from working around and passing him all the time, always friendly. And I will say, talking about Gordon, is that I was down at Hamvention, beautiful event down there. I also was in Puerto Rico to their event. But I was down at Hamvention, and I'm sitting there at the Hamvention booth and, talking to people, and they're signing up for maybe some free tickets to where we do lots of giveaways and things. But off in the distance, like at Christmas night, you listen for the Christmas bells. But off in the distance, you could hear Gordon with his horn. Hey, we got another one. And that was reverberant. I mean, his voice is at a perfect frequency, but he brings a lot of joy and happiness, I think, to lots of people. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I mean, if we do anything in amateur radio and we can make somebody else happy with, that's a good thing.
There you go.
We get enough infighting, don't we? So anyway, back to the forums page, and this is on www.hamvention.org, and there's all kinds of information on there. And but if you're going to come to Hamvention, I think everybody should come. I mean, it's just a wonderful event. It truly is. It's to me, it's always been magic. I don't know how you guys feel when I go up, or when I kind of stay there all week, but when people start coming in that door, people start arriving, there's a certain amount of magic there. Mm-hmm. Another Hamvention. And you can look back into the past of when you were, maybe we all had dark hair. Well, Charlie, you got some dark hair there yet. Josh has some, but I remember having dark hair and going to that, and I was as excited now as I was back then. Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen. I've met so many people from all over the world. It's just been absolutely great. And I'm not exaggerating this. Any of you who ever been to Hamvention, you know what I'm talking about. If you've not been there, please go, because it is just for your own, satisfy your own curiosity. And I know there's a lot of excuses not to come, and I've heard a lot of them. It's like, well, it's too crowded. We could have 35, 40,000 people there. You can't really feel the crowd because it's so huge and so spread out. It's a big deal. And so there's a lot of evening activities. One of the things about Hamvention is it just don't stop it when we close at 5. It just doesn't stop then. There's lots of events all over the area in very nice places. And, if you're wondering about going to those events, don't wonder. Do it. I mean, you meet more people, you'll have a good time. I know already Josh has got some kind of special place that he goes to all the time. And
the bar.
Yeah.
The troll pub.
I thought you had a special pub you went to. Yeah. And so take a look at that, all the different activities that go on.
You've got Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where the Air Force Museum is. You've got the Voice of America, and all that. Yeah, and that's just 2 out of a list of probably as long as your arm of things going on in that area.
Well, and we also have, we don't have it, but Tim Duffy has that Contest University.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know if he may still have some openings left, but I have the pleasure of welcoming everybody to that every year. And I'm always just stunned at how many people go to that. And I do want to say this, that you might not be a contester. You might hate contesting, and you might not like to just sit there and do that for a long period of time. But if you're an amateur radio operator and you want to refine and really hone in on your own operating skills, go to Contest University. Some of the best speakers in the planet are there. And talking about speakers, we had 4 great award winners this year. Our club of the year is the YLRL group, the young ladies. That's easy for you guys to think about. Yeah. The Young Ladies Radio League, and they've been around for a long time. And I got all this. There it is. He's got that picture up there. There's more of them than that, though. That was a picture that one of them sent me so I could have some representation of it. Great club. You probably hear their nets on the air, and they're doing so much. And I know that my wife is a member of that too, and gets a lot out of it. But just an aside from them, they've been at Dayton doing, and I have a picture of it. I should have put it on here. I have a picture of a YLRL meeting from 1960 something, and and they've been around since 1939. But I like their motto is it's QRV. I am ready. I am ready.
Very nice.
And boy, they're very dedicated to it. The Special Achievement Award went to Anthony Luscree, K8ZT. This guy is definitely pretty amazing. You can read about him. He happens to be a Buckeye as well. He lives in Ohio, and but he's affiliated with the ARL as one of the main instructors in at least in the Ohio section. But you'll go to that guy's website. He has prepared talks on almost any aspect of amateur radio. Very learned individual. And I had a chance to sit down and talk to him for a while. Found him to be a very fascinating guy. And so moving from that, let me talk about the technical achievement winner is a guy that most of us know, which is Ward Silver. NOAX.
Great
guy. And he is. And you know, I talk to him I've been talking to him a lot lately because he's coming to Dayton. And at the awards banquet, he's probably going to play his mandolin and sing some of those songs about amateur radio that are just funny as all get out. And he's an excellent musician, and he but beyond that, what an amateur radio operator that guy is.
And what a great ambassador, too, because he wrote the Big Dummy's Guide to Amateur Radio, which is a great introduction for anybody who's maybe is looking to, dip their foot into this pond.
Contributor to tons of the ARRL materials.
Exactly,
and asset to the community.
Absolutely.
The new book that he's got out, he's written it with a few other people. It's called Here to There, Radio Wave Propagation.
Oh, nice.
He's knocked it out of the park with that. I mean, if you have any questions or how does the propagation of this when matched with this and paired with that, because there's so many different propagation numbers you can get.
Right.
How does it work? What overrides what? Man, I'll tell you what, he can make things he can make sense out of like grocery lists and things. He's just an amazing guy, but I really enjoy talking with him. And he's our technical achievement winner. And the Ham of the Year is a guy named Ed Engelman. A lot of you may not have heard of him, but he's up in UP, Michigan. And what a wonderful guy. This guy, I think he has a net on 6 nights a week.
Wow.
And it's on Echolink. And 6 nights a week that he works with young people. It's just not here, just not there. And he'll work with them 7 if they need it. And the people that have come through his program has been totally amazing. He is the founder of the Yacht Club. And so we like to hear more from him. And he's just really a hoot to talk to. When I called him on the phone a couple times and talked to him, he says, well, I got to go to, I'm going to go to the fish fry with my friends here a little bit. Don't have lots of time to talk. It has that real thick Michigan, Scandinavian accent. I know that because my wife is from Michigan. And I asked him, I said, well, do you still polka? And he would kind of hedge me on that one. But what amazing guy doing this. So take the time and look at who some of these award winners are. You can even send them a quick text or email and say, hey, congratulations. But you get to see most of all these people at Hamvention. And we are just so excited about it. Now, we have lots and lots of great prizes. You'll see that we're still getting more and more prizes in all the time from all over the world. And by the way, our volunteers come from all over the world. So unless you got any questions for me, I don't want to wear you out with this. I just want you to come, all of you. You guys all come, look me up. And, there's one other thought about it is that I've heard people, every once in a while, people complain, or they'll complain a lot. But there's two kinds of people that come to Hamvention. And by and large, most of the people that come and they have an experience, like the first year we had it in Xenia, our experience was 100-year rain and mud. So I tried to sell commemorative mud, but it didn't work out. But still, we want things to we try to improve every year. Get better drainage in. We even keep tow trucks right on hand. We pay them, so if something happens, man, we can get everybody out of the mud if they park there. But we have some good off-site parking as well. Just so many the two types of people that want to find something wrong. And I hear a lot of that. Matter of fact, I had one guy that blasted me so hard about Hamvention and how bad it was. I was working at a booth at some show, and I said, I listened to him and I looked up at him and I said, I don't think you should come to Hamvention because it's too much for you. You're even in a nervous frenzy thinking about it, but you come away with a great story. I bet every one of you have got stories, or somebody reminds you of something that happened, like the time at Hera Arena.
Yeah, several times at Hera Arena.
I was, lots of things. I was the general chairman the year that happened, but we just, you just keep, take a slam and keep on hamming. So you guys, I really appreciate, you having me on here, and I hope that, looking forward to everybody coming. And it's going to be another grand event. By the way, the weather is just going to be out of the park. Beautiful. Good deal. So, hey,
there's the horn. I've got some.
All right. There you go, Michael. Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Great memories
of Hamvention. The first year that I went, that was when they had the banquet, and Joe Walsh was playing in concert. So I got to see Joe Walsh play Hamvention. And then the next year, for that banquet concert, it was the Smothers Brothers. And I got to hear Tommy and Dick work a full gallon into their routine. They actually included some old-time ham radio phrases into their routine. And man, there's just so many people that I only see at Hamvention and people that I've met from all over the world at Hamvention that I always look forward to seeing when I do get to go. And, of course, taking my son before he got licensed to Hamvention and seeing him walk around in the old Ham Talk Live pig suit, if you remember Hammy. I've just got so many great memories of Hamvention, and it's one of those things that you need to absolutely do at least once in your life. It should be a pilgrimage. It should be a mission. And for that guy who you were talking about, just complaining all the time, yeah, some people just look for bad stuff to complain about. And man, come with an open mind, come with an open heart, and you're going to have a great time. And Michael, we sure appreciate all the work that you do and the large amount of your life's energy into promoting this great hobby and this great event. And we just certainly appreciate having you a member of the Ham Nation family.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, thank you, guys. So 7-3 to everybody out there. See you in Dayton.
All right. Josh, back over to you. Oh, well, let's go straight to Gordo. Gordo, straight over to you.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about what Michael was talking about, is getting more kids into ham radio. And at the American Radio Relay League is Steve Goodgame, Kilo 5 Alpha Tango Alpha. He's been here on the show, and he presents the Teachers Institute at the ARRL, and they have only until May to be able to get into the next league-sponsored class back in Newington. So if you are a professional teacher and you want to bring ham radio into the classroom, get a hold of Steve Goodgame at the league. He's staff, Kilo 5 Alpha Tango Alpha, and he will tell you all about the Teachers Institute. Well, now let's talk about what I'm doing as the league's new national instructor, a volunteer, and that is working with volunteers. And volunteers are our key to getting into ham radio clubs, doing homeschooling, getting ham radio into the Kiwanis and other organizations. So it's the volunteers that my job is to begin to work with them. And what will be posted shortly on the American Radio Relay League's site is our instructor guide, but we're going to give you a preview to it. And again, to learn more about this, go to arrl.org/bar and my name, but put a hyphen in it, so it's Gordon-West. And you'll see all of the materials that may soon be coming shortly. We encourage all of you that are doing a class to be sure and come up with a great flyer. This one is available for you to copy word for word, other than where we're teaching the class, but it's one that's worked out very well. And if you have a good size class, but not maybe a big size room, we give you a hint. If you look bottom right, you'll see that I've got the tables facing forward as opposed to horizontal. Well, occasionally you can't move a table like these steel case tables. So teaching from the front of the room horizontal, you're going to be talking and people will be staring directly at you, but it limits the number of people. But it can be fun, although you can't really walk all around because they're all against each other's table. But it's a fun class. Now take a look. See the little blue ribbons? They say the word pass. And we like to have everybody with a name tag. So if you get a question, you'll be able to say their name. That makes them feel good. And they've already got a ribbon that says pass because we explain, and you know it as an instructor, the hardest part of getting your ticket is just getting to the classroom and sitting down for 8 weeks. And when they come into the classroom, we should have it all prepared for them. And the American Radio Relay League has plenty of publications, plenty of paperwork that you can give out. And one of my favorites is the On the Air, as well as, of course, membership to the QST magazine. And Becky Schoenfeld is the editor of both QST as well as heading up On the Air. She does, and her entire staff, a fabulous job of giving us the very latest news to ARRL members. And if you have a huge class and they cancel the hotel room because of something a couple weeks before you do class. Don't cancel class. Be creative. We did this in our backyard. Susie and I got the canopies up, and it was one of the most fun classes there were. And it's expensive to do a class at a hotel or a regular facility. They'll charge you $4 for a cup of coffee. You know the routine. So many times you'll find electronic stores or stores that have electronics, such as West Marine, a big marine group that is coast to coast with everything you ever wanted for your boat, including electronics. They made room for the class, and it worked out very successfully. We've even done a class down in the basement for those of you on the East Coast. Yeah, you got more weather coming. Sorry about that. At Gene and Marianne's place, KJI Electronics. It was a class in the basement, and it was fun. It was weird. And we've done classes in the middle of the desert at Quartz Fest. And the Quartz Fest classes, you want to make sure and get Don's 15 or 20 watt amplified speaker, because everybody's spread out. But those are fun classes where they get out of their chairs and they can go ahead over to our comm van that you see on the left and play a little ham radio. Well, not all classes can go out and set up a big station. So what we recommend is to, for teaching a class, bring the equipment to them. I mean, clean out your shack. And this is just a bit of the equipment, but it's much better to be able to hold up a coil rather than describing it with your finger as a little wire wound to wound to wound. You get the idea. So have stuff that will be held up when you're talking about certain things during your class, especially for technician. Generals, you're going to have like high frequency radios. Extra class, well, you'll see shortly, we do microwave. But we put an emphasis on handheld radios because, gosh, even someone on a tight budget can find a handheld for $29.95. And let's hope that at the selling place that sells it, they'll have someone that will show you how to program it. And have fun in class. Dress up. Do something strange. Blow a horn. And get some attention, and you'll get that class absolutely full of folks. And have live radios. In fact, what I like to do on a live radio, usually a handheld, is to make a contact on the wind system out here in Southern California, but through repeaters all over the country, all over the world, and let a student go ahead as third-party traffic if it's all over this country, and they go, "You're in New York?" And they can't believe that a little handheld is going that far. This is fun. We have a fluorescent tube, but it's actually neon. And we have the table folks all grab hands and see what their their resistance is, not inductive reactance. And of course, you got to have computers there because that's what the kids identify. And look at bottom right, not so much the radio, but the fact that QST magazine is there. And I know they're charging for QST. Everybody's charging these days for magazines. So get over it. Join the ARRL. And if you don't want to do that, you can save money and get it as an email subscription. And I always like to have volunteer guests that I can trust to take over for maybe a 5-minute demo. But you got to trust them, because if you get a real technical person, they may go on for 35 minutes when you only have 5, telling you everything that's not necessarily on the test. So we try and relate test questions to the equipment, and I have a guest instructor because that lets you sort of regroup for a couple minutes and get ready. The league, with their new instructor program, and to learn about the program, they've had it for years and years, but they're now for the volunteers under my direction. Go to arrl.org/ and my name, Gordon West, with a hyphen in between first and last name. And you'll be able to get access to a lot of materials. Some are free, some are discounted, but as an instructor, they're going to take care of you. No, they're not going to send you a computer. We'll get one out of Don's office. Oh, look at that speaker, Don. That's exactly what we need for outside classes.
Talking about my little bitty Marshall external speaker here. Yeah,
that's exactly what we need. And even for large classes, sometimes that'll help as well. Absolutely. But having a working computer will help illustrate some of the questions for technician, general, and the new extra class. And yes, my book will be available at Dayton. QSL cards. I like the really old ones. 6 Bravo Lima Papa. That was even before they had the A, K, N, or W. That was not mine, no. But my wife's brother was able to do that, Benjamin. So neat things that show QSL cards. I got Space Station there. I've got Columbia, which is being featured this week as well as last week on one of the news channels. But have QSL cards. They're sort of fun to pass around and show people that ham radio is fun. And, of course, kids. And for kids, boy, you got to really keep their attention up. So for kids, we get them outside with an antenna. We're very cautious that any antenna we're swinging around out there has tips on the ends for eye protection, and we always encourage eye protection when we're out there working. Getting the kids actually involved in making contacts. And here is one of the schools out here in Southern California where they're doing ham radio. They've got a school call, and they love FT8. They just think that's the best. Now, for extras, you got to give them something new and special. So that's some of our 10 gigahertz equipment that is quite popular out here on the West Coast. And for generals, you got to put together a 3-element beam in about 20 minutes break time outside. You have everything pre-done. You get one of the lightweight ones, and then they'll understand as you turn it while listening to a station about beam patterns that they'll be reading about in the book. And, of course, handhelds, 2 meters, 220, possibly 440. The more exotic looking the handhelds, the more kids want to get in on that. But again, on your handhelds, get some stations through an IRLP that are hundreds and maybe 1,000 miles away, and that makes for an impressive contact for a third party. And have someone that is working with you that's capable of programming some of the Baofangs and the Wushangs and some of the other Chinese radios. In that many times students will actually have a radio before they even get licensed, and you can put them on to Simplex to get them started. And finally, you want to take care of them and give them a big amateur radio operator and a big welcome to ham radio. So again, to see more about the American Radio Relay League's new programs, those for the professional teachers, that's Steve at sgoodgame at arrl.org, or for my local instructors and those of you around the country, arrl.org/Gordon-West. And as you can see there, and if you scroll down, you're going to find that there'll be something for instructors. And if you get over to the Learning Center, they'll let you see a little, but you want to become an ARRL member. And when that Learning Center opens up, it's got to be the most bizarre learning experience in your life. They have everything from classroom notes to pre-study notes to technical, you name it, it's at the Learning Center, and it's available to you as an ARRL registered instructor. So get registered and welcome aboard. And in 2 weeks, we're going to show you a little something else for class tricks that really helps students get through the test. So, Josh, let me turn it back to you, and I'll let you field any questions and relay them to me. Josh.
Yeah. So, Gordo, boy, I think the biggest thing we got was just saying how amazing you are for continuing to bring new amateurs into the hobby. We got Interstellar Starman says, Gordo rocks. Our friend Clint Bradford said, Gordo is responsible for more hams getting licensed than any other person on the planet. And I think that is an absolutely true statement. Our friend Jody said the neon radiation detector freaks people out for fun. You know, when they've got that tube that you're holding. I bet they just love that, right, Gordo? Is that a good demo?
That's it. They love it.
And where's the other one? This is great info, again, from Interstellar Starman. So I think a lot of people are going to be able to use this to help get more people in the hobby, and it's through your hard work that's been made possible. So thank you, Gordo. I do have one question for you, though. What do you think? Go ahead.
Oh, on the neon tube,
yeah.
I'm not sure that is still available, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to make announcements as to where some of our demonstration products come from. Oh, cool. So hold on the neon tube. It's very special, but I don't think they make it anymore. So go with your question.
Yeah, so my question is actually on that similar train of thought. What do you think are the best demonstrations, particularly for new technicians, to maybe kind of build some interest, but then to also really break through some of those knowledge barriers that people have when it comes to radio?
Well, on the tech test for beginners, there's always Ohm's law: voltage, current, resistance, power. What we do is we hook up to one of the lithium iron phosphate bio-NO batteries, a little 3-ampere, very light. We have 14 white twin lead, and we have a 12-volt bulb, and we have an old-fashioned potentiometer. We used to call them pots, but we can't do that anymore. An old-fashioned potentiometer and a switch. And that allows us to let them see power as what the light bulb lights, current in series, and we have a small little ammeter, voltage, which we measure with a voltmeter, and resistance is turning that potentiometer back and forth, and then showing them the back side where they see all of the little wires wound around what appears to be a core and a brush that picks up the amount of resistance dialed in. So kids usually love that, and they get a kick. And we have one final one, and that one has to be done under supervision, and that's the blazing pickle, which applies.
Bring that up. Yep. You got to have the pickle.
We may. I don't sure we'll do it on the air here, but we'll certainly show you the innards of that one in 2 weeks.
Excellent. Well, Gordo, that's the questions I have, and just thanks a million for all your continued support to the community and what you do. So we really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And the league really is going all out to get more instructors well taken care of, and I'm just happy to be part of that volunteer effort.
All right. Let's go to Icom with a word from them. Thanks a lot, Gordo.
Keep your competitive contesting edge with Icom. Icom's innovative and high-powered base stations cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Heard it, worked it, logged it. The Icom IC7300 is an industry first, using an RF direct sampling system and an entry-level HF radio. This compact, high-performance, innovative transceiver will far exceed your expectations. The real HF fun starts here. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. The Icom IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. Faint signals are no longer a challenge for contesters or DXers. The high-performance RMDR can pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. This direct sampling software-defined radio has changed the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. Keep your competitive contesting edge with the Icom IC7851. Contesters and DXers are always looking for that competitive edge to magically pull out the weak signals needed to climb up the list. With faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal, the IC7851 is the pinnacle of HF perfection. 110 RMDR, 1.2 kilohertz optimum roofing filter, digital IF filters, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. For more information about Icom's amateur radios and to locate a dealer, please visit icomamerica.com/amateur today. For the love of ham radio.
Who else deserves a big thank you? The great folks at Icom. Thank you, Icom, for continuing to support what we do here on Ham Nation. Every time we go live, you guys can get in on the action on this one. They give away 3 swag packs, which include things like hats, sometimes t-shirts, tablets, stuff with Icom on it, right? You get the idea. But if you win one of those, you get put in the drawing, which happens at the end of every month, and they pick a radio. This month, this is a big month. This is one of my favorite Icom radios and a real kind of entry point, I think, for people that want a little bit more out of VHF UHF. The 2730. Our friend Digital Rancher actually uses this for his FM satellite contacts, and he absolutely loves this. Go watch my video that I did with him in Huntsville 2 years ago, I believe. Anyway, we got a winner for that. But first, the swag pack winners. Eric L, KG7GCQ, Rich G, Angela H, KJ6SZQ, and the grand prize is going to Jason L, KC0JLO. So congratulations on winning that 2700. And for all the swag pack prize winners, remember, if you haven't won one, make sure every time we go live, you click that Enter Now button. The link is in the video description. It's one of the first links you can see. Make sure you click Enter Now so that you can get a chance for winning, because that list of swag pack winners goes all year long, and you get in on every one of the giveaways for the end of the month for the radio. So it's kind of a hard deal to miss out on. So thanks again, Icom. We really do appreciate it. So now I get to say hi again to my friend Charlie. Charlie, how are you doing, sir? I think I made you too big. Hold on. Let's get you centered here. So, Charlie, for those who are not familiar with you, I think probably if you've mentioned, if you've ever searched portable ham radio or Parks on the Air, Summits on the Air, Morse code, they might have stumbled upon you on YouTube. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I live in Arizona, and I have a YouTube channel that I use to promote QRP, low power, Morse code, and portable radio or field operations. And you might think that's very niche and very, there's not a lot to talk about there. But I mean, there's all kinds of topics that are surrounding that whole niche of portable radio, QRP, and Morse code. And so my channel, I try to promote that in a number of different ways. I have long form videos that I record myself doing Parks on the Air and Summits on the Air. Then I also have interviews where I interview guests. We talk about learning Morse code. We talk about how to do backpacking and route finding for if you're doing POTA or SOTA especially. And then I also have shorts. And then for part of it's the interview process, the interview, I guess, what would it be called? Playlist. I have a couple of co-hosts. Every other week we do an interview, and then my co-hosts, Dan, KC7MSU, and Brian, W7JET, we just choose a topic and we talk about it. But the topic is again QRP, Morse code, portable radio, surrounding that type of thing. So that's pretty much what it is. And I just love getting out there, getting outdoors with the radio. And when you ask the question, what is portable radio? Well, it's just if you're operating a radio and you're outside, that's what it is.
Yeah, so you don't put necessarily it's got to be a POTA or it's got to be a SOTA. You just have radio with you all the time, I guess, pretty much, right?
Well, I mean, not necessarily, but what I do is I plan different excursions, and they aren't always the same. There are a lot of programs out there, not even just SOTA and POTA, but there's the Polar Bears, and there's just a bunch of different programs out there where you can follow a structure, worldwide flora and fauna. Mm-hmm. But then there's also it all started with just getting out on a mountaintop or going out into the field and operating portable. Steve, our good friend in Colorado, W7 or W0 GAT, yeah, whatever, it spells goat.
Goat.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. He's been on mountaintops doing portable radio before Soda, and just it was a fun thing for him to do. And there's a lot of, for me, being outdoors and doing Soda and POTA or just doing field ops, it's like a laboratory, an experiment, a place to test things out and to enjoy aspects of the radio that you might not get inside of a ham shack.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. So when I get questions, by the way, I'm dropping a video on this exact same topic tomorrow on like why should people still do Morse code, and I use your channel often to like link people to, and it's like, well, I'm not going to try to like argue the point. I'm just going to show you somebody using it and demonstrating it. So from your point of view, why is Morse code so interesting, and how does that play into kind of your radio methodologies?
Okay, yeah, there's several factors that play in. One, for me, that's really important is that you can get a really small radio if you're using Morse code, because when you have a sideband radio, there takes a lot more components and more construction to build it. You can get a little one about the size of a deck of cards and operate if it's Morse code, and so your gear is significantly reduced. So there's that aspect of it. There's also the fact that the Morse code, the mode is more effective usually, not always, but usually, than sideband. So you can make contacts with Morse code where you might not be able to with sideband. It just it breaks through that ether a little bit better. And then there's just the whole aspect of it's a skill. It's something that you are rare in, not many people know how to do it, but it's something that, you have in the back of your mind that you can do at any point and communicate with. It's really cool. I think it's fun.
So to date, how, like, if you want to go through scores or whatnot, I don't know the best way to do this. You tell me. How many like activations have you? Because you're primarily summits on the air, or do you both do them evenly, or what's kind of the?
There's overlap for me where I live. So about 80% of what I do is both, is dual Soda and POTA, and then sometimes I'll do only Soda or only POTA. So, but activations, the number of times I've been out in the field just for Soda itself is approaching 520 activations. But that doesn't count field day or just going to get out there. Yeah. So
are you proper Soda goat at this point? Have you hit that?
I'm a four goats.
You're 4 goats. Oh, I guess so. 500.
It's 1,000 per goat.
It's 1,000 per goat. So you're definitely not scoring 1-pointers most of the times you're going out there. Is that fair to say?
I usually don't do 1-pointers, but I mix it up pretty good. Yeah.
That's insanely impressive. So if anybody doesn't understand that, the mountain system, or the mountains based off of prominence to ground, have a different score. It tops out at 8 and then sometimes 10 if it's during the winter season or something along those lines. Is that how winter or summer?
Tops out at 10, and then in the winter, at certain times in the winter, you can get an extra 3 points on top of that.
So you've gotten 1,000 4 times. So you're a 4x goat. That's very impressive. So with that in mind, based off of that whole depth of experience, if someone wanted to get started, let's not just say summits on the air. It could be parks on the air. It could be whatever. What do you generally recommend? So maybe it's a new general or something like that if they're going to get started. What gear would you point them to? Maybe give me a couple radios and a recommended antenna, or you take it where you want to go.
Okay. Well, first thing I would say, I made actually a recommendation to my friend in his name's Jesse. He has a YouTube channel called Canadian Rockies Radio. And my recommendation was, before you go on your first activation, before you buy gear for your first activation, go with somebody. Find a person to go with. And you see this flag behind me right here. This is the Code Talkers flag. This was given to me. You don't find many of them. It was given to me by a friend of mine named Herb. He's a Navajo, and his call sign is N7GHG, and he loves Soda, and he just wanted to get involved, and so he reached out to me, and I just shared my gear with him for several activations. And in fact, he had some gear and it didn't work, and so we still shared my gear. So, but if you have somebody as a crutch, or not even necessarily as a crutch, but as a support system for you, as you go out the first few times, you can see the gear, you can see how it's done, and then you can slowly break away and do your own thing.
Right.
So that's what I would first of all recommend.
I guess that's also true, because then you got kind of a CW buddy in case you're new. Then you at least have somebody that you can ask questions to. Possibly, depending on range, you might even be able to make a contact with them locally.
Yes. Yeah. And then as far as radios go, you don't have to go QRP, but you're going to have to carry a big load if you do. If you go 100 watts, so you got to go QRP. So I'm old school. I still have the FT817. It's getting long in the tooth.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think my best recommendation right now, I'm really impressed with the Elecraft KH1. I think that is a groundbreaking radio. And so if you can afford that radio, then do it. I think on the other end of the spectrum, if you just aren't sure and you really can't afford a lot, there's the G106. It's a Zygo radio.
Yeah.
And it's very inexpensive. And I've tried it and I've tested it. Some people are down on it, but I think it's an effective radio.
For Morse code, you're saying specifically?
Or sideband.
Oh, or sideband. Okay.
It does both. Yeah.
I guess it's a good mention, too. Hamvention is just around the corner, and you will be able to find some of these used QRP radios for relatively inexpensive. I found quite a few that I've now added to my shack, so you're probably going to be on the lookout for some of those when you get out there, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's some great deals there.
Anything else? Oh, how about an antenna? And then we'll yeah. What do you think about antenna?
Well, so my channel, I often do homebrew, kit building, and that type of stuff, and so my hand antenna of choice is a homebrew dipole, and so I just throw together some wire and I put the links in it, and then I can make it for whatever frequency and whatever band I want. I do homebrew, but I would say if you're doing QRP from a mountaintop, you're probably most effective going to be either a linked dipole or a trapped dipole, or an end-fed half wave. Both of those I've found to be the most effective in getting your contacts and getting out there.
I appreciate that. Those are all the antennas I generally use when I do a Summits on the Air, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Charlie, anything you want to mention before we wrap up here? We really do appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I guess just one or two other things. One is there's a forum at Hamvention that I and my friends will be presenting on SOTA. So if you are interested in that, and you're going to Hamvention, go ahead and join us. Because I don't know, I think it's a Friday lunchtime-ish if you're going to be there.
Is it SOTA related? Do you know what it's called?
It is.
Fine-tuning your SOTA experience?
There it is. That's
okay.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up right now. Here it is.
Okay.
So there it is. So make sure you're there. It's building, let's see, room 1 at 12:25 p.m., fine-tuning your SOTA experience, where it looks like it's going to be a great group of guys. So that's going to be really cool.
Yep, for sure. I think that's about all I'll mention. I really appreciate you guys coming, letting me come on. I am really excited about QRP, Morse code, and if you want to learn Morse code, there are several different groups that will help you. And so if you have more questions about learning Morse code, reach out to me. I can direct you to them. There's actually 3 different ones now instead of 2. There's the CW Innovations group that's really interesting that you might not have heard of.
I have not. Yeah. So what is that? It's CW Ops, Long Island CW Club, and then this CW Innovations. I have not heard of it, so I have to look that up.
Yeah, and they focus primarily on head copy.
Oh, okay.
So they're after you kind of get going a little bit, but still.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Charlie, thanks for taking the time. We'll definitely have you back. I must say again, 1,000 thanks on just being kind of, I'd say, Charlie on the spot with being available to join us on the call, because I didn't know if we were going to have hosts. It was just going to be you and I like this the whole time. But I really do thanks for making yourself available. We really do appreciate it.
Great job, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Great job.
And go sub to his channel. Links are in the comments. I just dropped them, and it'll be in the description as well. Dawn, why don't you catch us up on the goings-on in amateur radio today?
I can do that. Thanks, Charlie. Great stuff tonight. Nice to meet you, and nice to have you on the program. Let's go ahead now and get into the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report, number 2423, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. Our top story is the ongoing recovery following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in the U.S. city of Baltimore, Maryland. Hams were put on alert, and several days into the recovery, severe weather rolled in.
A call went out for heightened awareness among radio amateurs in the Baltimore, Maryland area as the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed on Tuesday, March 26th, after being struck by a cargo ship near the port of Baltimore. Shortly after the early morning incident, Chris Van Winkle, AB3WB, manager of the ARRL Maryland DC section, reached out to ARES members section-wide, asking that they stand by. Meanwhile, Maryland and Baltimore officials declared a state of emergency. As Newsline went to production on the 4th of April, hams remained on alert as severe weather pounded the region, posing potential complications to recovery operations near the harbor. Sid Caesar, NH7C, the assistant section manager and public information coordinator, said section leadership continued to be vigilant, engaging in incident planning in case the need arose to activate any amateur radio support in the days ahead. This is Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
As weather tracking and communications technology grow more sophisticated, it's easy to think that system failures won't be a problem in an emergency. In the American Midwest, however, weather watchers and hams got a dose of reality.
Several areas across the United States received a wake-up call on the night of April 1st when a national data network outage knocked out radar and warning capabilities in many cities just as severe weather began hitting the central part of the country. In the St. Louis region, just as a storm system brought heavy rainfall, hail, and even a tornado to the area, the Weather Forecast Office's radar and warning systems went dark. Meteorologists had to rely on other resources while calling on the Kansas City office to provide backup. Michael Musher, a meteorologist and spokesman for the National Weather Service, told the media, quote, "During this outage, some warning services were impacted," end quote. He indicated that they are working with network vendors to determine the root cause for the 5-hour blackout. Radio amateurs were active across the heartland. For example, Fox 19 TV in Cincinnati reported ham activity for a tornado in Mason County, Kentucky. This is Randy Sly, W4XJ.
Hamvention is less than 2 months away. As you're finalizing your plans, be sure to include a side trip to a very historical museum location nearby.
If your plans to visit Xenia, Ohio next month for Hamvention include a side trip to the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting in nearby Westchester, you'll be pleased to know that the museum will once again have expanded hours. On Thursday, May 16th and Friday, May 17th, you can visit from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., on Saturday, May 18th from noon to 9 p.m., and on Sunday, May 19th from noon to 5 p.m. Admission is $10. WC8VOA, the ham radio station of the Westchester Amateur Radio Association, will be on the air. Visit WC8VOA.org or voamuseum.org for more details.
A reminder, the nominating period for the Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Memorial Young Ham of the Year Award is now open and runs through the end of May. More information and a nominating form can be found at arnewsline.org under the Awards tab. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, Randy Sly, W4XJ, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Many thanks to the Newsline crew for helping us put all that together. We do not have a report from Dr. T tonight. She's been busy compiling all of the solar eclipse stuff. We hope to have her back on in a couple of weeks. But you can always check her out on X, at Tamitha Skov, of course, her YouTube channel, Tamitha Skov, and, of course, spaceweatherwoman.com. One more plug for the Young Ham of the Year Award. Nominations are open until the end of May. Check out the nomination form at arnewsline.org under the awards tab. And also another plug for the Voice of America Museum. That is a great side trip. Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting there in Westchester, not too very far away from Xenia and Dayton, right there on the outskirts of Cincinnati. Go by there and see the place that Adolf Hitler referred to as the Cincinnati Liars. Very important historic piece of real estate right there, and what some great Americans did to help spread the truth about democracy in that time during World War II. Josh, that's all I've got, sir. Back to you.
Thank you, Don. Yeah, that is a fantastic tour.
It really
you
is.
can go on.
Yeah,
and
really is.
big shout out, they do extra hours during Hamvention. So if you have the chance, drive on out there and go. It's actually a real nice.
Yeah.
Well, nice is relative, but it's a short drive, and you can do it after hours. It's great.
And the club, as was mentioned in the story, the club will have their station open. That is a world-class station. When they're on, they can be heard. So, you get the chance to operate as well. Yeah, that's some good folks over there.
Yeah, so a couple of things to hit before we wrap up. I think Gordo and I, we're heading up to Visalia here shortly, right, Gordo?
Affirmative.
Yeah, so we'll be up there this weekend. So if you're going out there as well, we'd love to see you. Come up and say hi. We would appreciate it. Let's go around the room. Gordo, anything you want to add to that?
No, I'll look forward to seeing folks. I'll be just on a short time frame as I'm passing through on to another talk to another club up the way. But I sure look forward to telling you more about the American Radio Relay League's free to instructors, all the great information on www.arrl.org/ and my name with a hyphen in the middle, and see if you can get over there to the Learning Center. And wow, they've got a ton of stuff.
Indeed. Don, anything you want to mention?
Nope, I'm working and getting ready to, hopefully at the end of the month, go up to Dallas to my niece's wedding. So looking forward to that. And by the way, speaking of my niece and my sister and my other sister, today is Happy Siblings Day. So I made a Facebook post about that. So Susan and Missy, I love you, my sisters. And Facebook post thought it was spam and took it down. So go Facebook. There's another finger I'd like to give Facebook, but this is a family show.
That's right.
So I'll leave it at that.
We'll give Charlie another crack at it. Charlie, anything you thought about mentioning in the last 5 minutes?
Well, there's a whole list of things.
Sure.
Let me just say this. I'm going to be on a summit tomorrow.
Oh.
And it's a long 10-mile round trip hike.
Ooh, wow.
So it's a 10-point summit. So if anybody wants to get me, I'll be recording it, and maybe you'll show up on my YouTube channel. So I don't. It's hard to get everybody, but I don't know, 1900 hours probably UTC. So.
Okay, because I'll likely be driving, and I'm going to stop and do some POTAs on the way, so I may be able to.
Cool.
I'll keep the soda spots up in case I see you. I'll see if I can reach out to you. Any idea of bands you're going to use?
Well, 10 meters, of course. I mean, 10 meters is amazing, but
right now.
I'll do 10 and 20 and 40 probably.
And where do you hang out on 10?
It's around 80 at 10.08 to 10.09 usually.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, last mention for the nets, Kevin KC7FPF is going to be on 40 meters at 7.192. K7UDI will be on 20 meters at 14.268, and possibly still on 75 meters for look them on 80 as well. And then, of course, D-Star on 14 Charlie. So make sure you go take a listen, and please check into the nets after the show. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for being on with me, and appreciate you all watching at home. So big 73.
Good night, everyone. Appreciate you.
See ya.
Charlie, great job. Don, great job.
Good job.
Yeah, good.
Josh is amazing with all the controls.
And thanks everybody for watching.